It had been 3 years since the traumatic pursuit of the Bolanus had come to a close, and life was back to its normal state. Malt Marzipan resumed his quiet lifestyle as a moose sheep herder with his beloved pals. Nonetheless, he had an urgent errand to attend to today. Hanna Fondant, his oldest and dearest friend, stood ahead of the ranch house, where his little sister and grandparents lived. "Grandma, I'm off for a stroll with Hanna," Malt declared.
"All right, sweetheart. Take care,"
she said in response. As expected, Hanna was waiting for him outside the ranch house. They began to stroll along the fence of his grandfather's property while discussing their days together, and the topics Malt had been dreading.
"Any news from Milo after all these years?"
"No, he's gone, Hanna. And I have put away every memory of him besides his body," Malt said sadly.
"Does May still not know about him?"
"Her life will be simpler if she never needs to worry about someone who invaded his family and duties."
"We should have made a more concerted effort to search for him."
"What for? So he can tell me and her directly that he doesn't care about us? I don't want May to confront that. It's already hard enough on me," Malt concluded. "Please, Hanna, I don't wish to recall those times. It pains me to think about someone I admired running away when we needed him most."
"Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring back painful memories. I just wanted to know if you have ever heard anything from him."
The conversation shifted to cheerier topics, but it wasn't long before the darkness returned. Malt and Hanna recalled their friends who lived in different parts of Gasco, speaking fondly of the good times they shared. But inevitably, shadows were cast over their memories by the thought of the hard times that came with those same friends. Recalling the difficult battles during the Gasco-Burman War after the Bolanus, this reminded Malt of why he asked to see Hanna in the first place. "Hanna, the reason I wanted to talk to you was..." he began. The thunder rumbled, the lightning flashed overhead, signaling the start of a sudden rainstorm. Reacting quickly, Malt took off his overshirt and held it above their heads with one hand while he pulled Hanna close with the other. He put his shirt around her for protection as well. Hanna didn't seem to mind. They were both just focused on getting to his grandfather's barn, which wasn't too far away. When they arrived, he lit a lantern with some matches. Thankfully, they had managed to stay mostly dry. They settled into the hay together, but Hanna could tell something still wasn't right with Malt.
"Malt, is there something wrong? Is this about what happened before?"
she asked. He took a deep breath before he answered. "No, I have something important to say, and I'm not sure how to say it." His voice shook as he spoke. "Hanna Fondant, I love you more than anything else in this world." She was at a loss for words. She had known he liked her since they were children, yet hearing him say it aloud made it too real. Her heart raced and her legs felt weak. She moved towards him, trembling hands reaching out to grasp his arms as she pressed her lips into his clumsy but passionate kiss. After breaking the kiss, Hanna seemed to have found her courage. In an excited tone, she said something that neither of them expected.
"Malt Marzipan, my true love, I have something selfish to ask of you.
He raised an eyebrow in surprise, prompting her to continue.
Marry me. I won't ever ask for anything else. Just to be my husband.
That's rather sudden, don't you think? He asked cautiously.
I know it is. But the thought of any other woman having you, even Chick Mont Blanc or Vanilla Muscat, it's too much. Please accept me as your wife.
Hanna pleaded. He nodded slowly in agreement. All right, I promise. You will be the only woman I accept in my life. They both sank into the hay, her head resting against his chest as she listened to his steady heartbeat. He held her close in a tight embrace and laughed. And laughed at her content purring.
Hanna Marzipan.
She mumbled in satisfaction. They talked until their eyes grew heavy, finally dozing off together for what would be the first of many more times to come. The moment they awoke and realized that their confession in the barn had not been a dream, they both beamed with joy. They talked and laughed together as they got ready to leave. And just before opening the door, they kissed again. A silent promise to see each other soon. His tail wagged, and her purring became even louder than before. Before prompting him to chuckle at her gently, she grabbed his muzzle with one hand, while they shared a soft laugh before going their separate ways. There was a lot of explaining to do today with their families and friends. Malt beamed as he stepped into his grandparents' ranch house. "Grandma! Grandpa! May! I'm home!" he exclaimed, unable to contain his joy. "Goodness, boy! Where have you been all night?" his grandpa inquired with concern.
Oh dear, you look really excited, sweetheart.
Grandma asked, displaying her own anxiousness. May continued to mind her own business with breakfast, seemingly unfazed by her older brother's return from wherever he had been. She shifted her attention to him when she noticed the wagging of his tail and the bright twinkling in his eyes.
What happened, big brother?
She asked, her curiosity rising. How do I say it? Oh, I've been waiting so long to announce it, he said excitedly. Then he took a short pause, as if considering how best to explain himself. I finally confessed to Hanna, he said joyously, almost singing the words out loud. At that point, May's enthusiasm mirrored her brother's. Her tail wagged rapidly, and her eyes twinkled with the same delight as her siblings. She had always known that something romantic would blossom between Hanna and Malt. Her spirits lifted higher, and she particularly leapt out of her chair to hug her elder brother. He laughed heartily at May's joy and returned the hug. The two siblings felt elated, but their grandfather interrupted them with a throat clear. May, why don't you go outdoors to play? We need to talk with Malt. May froze mid-stride. She was about to make her way out of the room, turning around to send a worried glance at Malt.
Huh? Is Malt in trouble?
She inquired, her grandmother shaking her head and replying with a soft,
No, sweetie.
Malt reassured May with his words. It's okay. I'll be there soon. Just don't tell anyone. Their grandfather spoke up quite sternly. Tell us everything that happened last night. Malt nervously recounted the night's events to his grandparents, explaining how he and Hanna ended up in the barn during the rainstorm. He described their declarations of love for one another, along with their agreement to get married. His grandparents asked for details about what had happened between the two of them, prompting Malt to hold back any angry response, as he assured them that nothing inappropriate had taken place. In fact, they had been entirely innocent, unless snuggling close together and kissing counted as something unseemly, which it did not. At long last, after a seemingly endless time, he was let go from the questioning and left the ranch to find his sister. May was playing in the garden with some of her tools for tending plants. Their grandma had taught her how to take care and nurture her own flower beds, and May had taken it on as readily as their inventive friend Socks did when it came to machines. "All right, May, meet up with the others. Time to tell them the news," he exclaimed. Hanna had returned to her home, where only her mother resided. For as long as Hanna could remember, she and her mother had lived together in the same house. Although she was overjoyed at the prospect of being with Malt, Hanna worried how her mother would respond to the news. Maybe considering how long they've known each other, her mother wouldn't be too surprised by the news. Hanna began humming a love song that she had heard on the radio countless times. Stepping into the dining room and kitchen, she found her mother poring over the morning newspaper.
Mama, I'm back!
She announced. Her mother swooped in to embrace her with concern and began firing off questions one after another. After a while, her mother's worried expression lightened, but the next question was clear on her face. Now that the fear had settled, she could feel her purring coming from Hanna's chest. Clearly, something had happened during the night. Hanna meekly recounted the events of her night in the barn, just like Malt with his grandparents. Hanna had to answer a number of questions, such as what they talked about and whether anything improper happened. Her mother was taken aback, however, when she heard that they vowed to be wed while nestled in the haystack. But Hanna reiterated that nothing untoward occurred. After an uncomfortable conversation with her mother, she sought in the company of her friends. They gathered at the familiar spot, the fountain in the town square. Wappa Charlotte had already found herself in the fountain, only to be rescued by who was doing his best to dry her off. It was no secret that Wappa had a crush on Kyle, much to his apparent displeasure. However, those who paid close attention could catch him purring whenever he took care of her. Alongside them were Socks Million, a brilliant prodigy and self-proclaimed inventor, and Boron Brioche, a gentle giant with a passion for cooking. And of course, Malt and May had already arrived. The group settled down as Kyle affectionately attended to Wappa, his purr never wavering while Malt and Hanna prepared to share their exciting news. Malt took a moment to gather his thoughts, but before he could speak, Hanna beat him to it.
Everyone, Malt and I are deeply in love, and we've made a promise to marry each other,
she exclaimed.
Why? I can hardly believe it. Congratulations. Well, it was inevitable, but I'm genuinely happy for you both.
Socks replied with a touch of sincerity. After tending to Wappa, who was still slightly damp, but dried off enough, Kyle got up to leave while saying a word. It was no secret that Kyle had long harbored his feelings for Hanna, and even now, some lingering emotions remained. though she concealed her own heartache well, offered her congratulations before chasing after Kyle. The group still couldn't quite understand how the spirited and energetic Wappa Charlotte developed an infatuation with the reserved and standoffish Kyle Baviroyos. Socks had an announcement of his own to make. He got up in front of the rest of the group.
The announcement from the exhibition at the Gasco National Research Academy in Florida,
He declared, holding up the letter proudly and adjusting his glasses with the other.
That's wonderful, Socks.
Way to go, buddy!
You'll say hi to Vanilla for us, right?
Of course I will. Vanilla's my friend too, after all.
As the day concluded, Malt and Hanna decided to pin letters to their friends across Gasco. Malt wanted to be the one to tell Mont Blanc twins, but Hanna insisted on sending letters to Ritz and Sheena instead. She would inform Jin and the Mont Blanc twins. They could ask Socks to tell Vanilla in person, since he was making a trip to Faro soon anyway. This is because Chick has a crush on me, isn't it?
What? No, don't be silly.
Malt leaned towards Hanna while still holding May's hand, and the two kissed before saying goodbye for the day. Malt couldn't help but feel both anxious and excited as they kissed, wondering what the future held for him and Hanna. He was excited to see where their relationship would go because he knew it was about to change.